death and towards physical powers and towards this world that surrounds them, but he surrounds. He gets to completely control all these pieces, and he gets to be in 100% control of all these physical manifestations of the storm and all this different stuff, and he's able to calm them with 2 words and bring peace to them and things like that. And it kind of just, if I were one of the disciples, I think that would be one of the biggest things that I take notice of. Obviously, the power there and his control over it, but the lack of fear. They're scared. They're wondering, are we going to die? Are we going to be thrown from the boat? Are we going to drown and things like that? And he's completely sound asleep and is not even noticing what's going on. And then when they come and bother him, he wakes up and goes, "Guys, calm down," and then completely calms this entire storm.
Now, doesn't it make you wonder, like, what would have happened had they not woken him up?
Yeah.
Right? Like, would it have just been fine? And I don't know. Just things I wonder about.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't Herrick's follow-up question.
Actually, I guess one of the things that I was just thinking about while Boo was talking is that he does not rebuke the disciples, right, for freaking out, which would have been the first thing I'd have done. Like, if I knew that everything was cool and I was the Son of God, and I would turn around and go, "You guys are freaking out for no reason. I'll take care of it. Stop freaking out. You're way overreacting here." And like as it reads, the Lord just kind of rolls up and says, "Fix it."
Well, and I suppose, like, there's some graciousness in that where they are limited by their experience, right? Like, the Jonah thought is a reasonable thought. I mean, it's not outrageous.
Yeah.
So, like, where we are limited by experience, God is limited by nothing. And so, although I think it's prudent to understand where things have come from, it certainly doesn't dictate what God does and when He does it and how it's done.
Yeah, for me, my take home is it changes the way that I pray. I mean, I'll often go to God in prayer with, "Hey, there's this situation that I'm facing," and to me it's a giant, and to God it's nothing. I mean, Jesus right here, he just changes the principles of chaos theory. Just boom.
Oh yeah.
And he does that just because he can. And so it enlarges my vision of God and what He's capable of, and what I should be asking for when I approach God in prayer, and what kind of mission should I be putting my work towards in terms of accomplishing and working for God. So, yeah, it very much affects my prayer life. So my follow-up question then. All right, here's this portrait where you have a scene of Jesus, and he gets up, and the wind and the waves and the elements obey him. The very forces of nature obey him. So why don't you?
I feel like that's directed at Buva.
I felt like that was directed at me also. Like, I felt like all of you looked at me.
Actually, I feel that's directed at me. I'm just shoving it on you. Go ahead, Buva.
Well, there's no like rebuttal to that question. I mean, there's
You could
no
say that you don't have a storehouse, and you have nowhere to return.
Nice.
We have free will, and the winds and wave don't.
That's honestly, that's a good way to put it. But and I never thought of that question. But yeah, there's no rebuttal to that. There's no, well, this is why. It's ultimately like that's one of the things you have to subject yourself to, is the fact that that's God's power, is over everything. Shoot.
Maybe that's the good follow-up question, though. Is like it's not like why aren't you, but like why wouldn't you want to? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, if he can put the boss on the wind,
The wind is a Calvinist.
yeah.
It must.
I have
it
prayed
must
before.
do.
I have prayed before, God. I know the big thing about free will is we're not robots. Would you just make me a robot?
Right?
I'll take it.
Oh, that takes away the effort, I guess. and
Me and Dan are on the same gospel.
Yeah, you guys are pretty much on par tonight. This
I'm
is
open
great.
to this robot thing.
Yeah, I
I'll
believe
just do as you say.
I've had multiple prayers of when I'm driving into work going, look, I'm going to tank this thing. Can you just step in, or seriously?
Take the reins, literally.
I don't want this freedom, like you're saying. Like I don't want the option to do so poorly.
Lord, I appreciate the thought, but I really want you to just take away this whole free will thing. It'd be so much easier if I was just a robot and did everything you said immediately.
Yeah. I would say that it seems to be the state of humanity, if evidenced through my life, potentially everyone else's, of which we cannot seem to keep a good grasp of who God is from minute to minute. Right? Like he can easily be marginalized. Not that we would deny some sort of truthful attribute of him, but like the ability to hold the concept of who God is without putting a lot of focus into it seems to be something that we can very easily discard. That I could acknowledge who God is, and then make a very ridiculous choice on my own behalf that the Lord certainly wouldn't approve of, and then and somehow that transaction, although it doesn't make sense to me at the time, seems like it's something that'll work out. And it's very short-sighted, but it is also very short-godded. It is like I've marginalized who God is in that time and elevated myself. I've done the anti-John the Baptist and said I must increase, at least for this moment, Lord, as a transactional option. And to me, like if I have God in the right perspective, when I'm understanding who He is, my life runs very well in the pursuit of Him. Where I start to marginalize that, where I start to believe, or at least allow myself to indulge things about myself or my desires above His, then yeah, my life goes easily askew. And there are that's the nature of a tempter. I suppose the wind isn't tempted, right? You got to assume there's not a Satan tempting the wind to go
Blow south.
You could be windy anywhere you want. I love myself.
So last week I had my morning. I had this big pep talk all morning long. I need to eat healthier. I need to lose some pounds, and I'm going to do this. This whole all morning long pep talk. And then lunch, I'm driving down the road and I pull into Encore Pizza, a delicious pizza buffet. And then that night, I pull into Pizza Ranch, another delicious buffet, and I go to bed that night going, what? Okay.
What happened?
Welcome to my life.
I do the same thing with God, though. You are sovereign. You are awesome. You are the Lord of my life. I am your slave. Anything you want, God, tell me where to go. I'm it. Blah, blah, blah. Well, unless,
there's a
2
ball
minutes
pit
later,
open.
I'm driving down the road. Hey. I hate it.
No, I had that same experience. What was it, like 2 days ago? Very similar. I was eating well. I've been kind of taking care of myself, and I'd missed lunch. But I thought I'm 20 minutes away from home. Things will be fine. I'm driving down the road, and there's a McDonald's right there. And I thought I got $2 in my pocket. That's a McDouble. That's a McDouble, boys. And so I'm driving along like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Left. And
I did it.
And then I'm in the drive-thru, and I'm like, can't bail now. McDouble. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm a grown man.
I can't even say no to McDonald's.
I've been bossed by a couple of golden arches.
Oh, man.
Just come in here, man.
4 billion and 12.
Wonderful.
And you're right. Your spiritual life is like that. You're like, I wake up in the morning and like I've been on a no Bible, no breakfast with my LTG guys. It's been awesome. And it's so silly because I'm like, this is such a stupid thing to have to put in place, but doggone it if it ain't working. I've been rocking Bible and breakfast for 26 days this year. And I love it. Like, it gets me excited, but like, it's just so easy to get, I read through it and I'm praying on it. And then like 5 minutes later, there's something in my mind that is completely counter to what I just read. I'm like, what happened? You were 5 minutes ago, you were fine.
Yeah.
All you did was get up. You took off some sweatpants and put it on jeans, and suddenly you've sullied your life. Anyway, it's a debacle. Help us, Dave.
Thanks for the reminder, Harry.
Appreciate you.
I was good at the start of the show.
Sorry about that. I think for me the answer to the question is why don't I is just pure silence. I have no good reason for not obeying him. There are a lot of times that I'm with Dan and Mike and thinking I really wish I was just one of those, just those agents that directly respond to God and I do exactly what he says and I'm always in his will, but for some reason he's given me free will and it's in his wisdom that he has done that. So I want to do something with that, even though with that I really want to seek his wisdom. So yeah.
That's rough times, Mike. In Lord's wisdom, he has set you free.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, well, maybe he wasn't thinking through it straight.
See, this is the only argument I've ever heard for a fallible God. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, I'm fairly convinced he's infallible.
You trust me?
He's
Are you
like,
serious?
on your own, son. You can make this decision. No. But like, I mean, really, when push comes to shove, the truth of the matter is like, I don't know that I'm super excited about being a robot as I am belaying the fact that I need the Lord's wisdom, right? Like, a robot will just do what it's told unquestioningly. I would hope that the Lord would mature me into the position where I will do the Lord what the Lord has asked me to do, because really I know that's what's best, right? I know that given two options between my decision and his decision, his decision's going to reign.
You know, there was I just finished a book called The Rise of Christianity by a guy named Rodney Stark. He's a sociologist, and he was trying to catalog like how can we understand, you know, a following that starts with dozens of people, and then after 3 centuries is, you know, like the dominant religious thought, and it was interesting. Like all these chapters are actually pretty interesting. It has to do with like the influence on women, how Christians view sexuality, their willingness to hang around during plagues and stuff. Like most people were, a lot of people died during big waves of like smallpox, or what they thought was like the first smallpox, although it wasn't labeled that, and plagues and stuff, because no one was willing to care for each other. I mean, basic necessities. Like so they saw someone was sick, no one was bringing food and water and stuff, so they died. Where like they weren't necessarily terminal, except they didn't get basic things. The Christians were like, yeah, we don't really care. And they went in there and they cared for people, and like way more of them survived. And then as the Christians were caring for people, people were converting to Christianity. And so like, I don't remember the exact number, but it was like there was an 80% survival rate during these smallpox outbreaks for Christians or people that Christians were caring for, and like a 28% for everybody else, because simply no one was willing to go in there and care for them. And so like one of the ways that Christianity booms is they were the only ones surviving. They were also were the people that weren't aborting their children, weren't trying to find all kinds of like sexual perversions to not have kids. When people were setting kids out because children were not highly valued, they were set out into the gutter to die of exposure, be attacked by an animal. It was the Christians that were going out and picking them up and raising them, and of course the influence of their lives, and those kids are becoming Christians. There was they talked about, because of the prevalent nature of abortion in that time, like not only were not a lot of kids born, but a lot of women were dying because the ways to bring about an abortion were horrendous. I mean, they were like taking bits of poison every day. They were going in after things with terrible things, and people were dying of infection and stuff. So like the ladies were dying, the kids weren't being born. It's crazy, the sociological view of just living, following Christ, and doing whatever that means in your life, and how it produces like amazing things even within the world that we live in, right? The basic nature of Christianity, no one said, hey, we need to grow Christianity, let's do X, Y, and Z. They just did what Jesus told them to do, and like that is how Christianity grows, because Christians were willing to die in the stead of someone else, and they both live. And they were willing to say, no, life is precious, and we will not kill a child. In fact, we'll go pick that one up that someone else discarded. And women were elevated, and like you were not, you weren't able to treat them like property. And it was just amazing to watch this completely like scientific sociological viewpoint of Christianity, and really it's just people that are saying we're going to follow Jesus and do what he told us to do. It took no intentional effort. They didn't have to have a 10-year plan. They didn't have to say let's find the right leaders and promote everything. Like they're just like, follow Jesus, things will be good, and they were, and like that's how they trace like sociologically. Christianity growing from that into the dominant belief was simply people actually being Christians, and that did that. It was very interesting, and it was just kind of along the lines of what you guys were talking about. You know, we're talking about if I just I have the freedom to follow Christ. We don't really have to do much, but just do that, and whatever that looks like, and it will produce what God wants it to produce. Our evaluation of it is not all that relevant to it. So anyway, it was a very interesting viewpoint. That was the Rise of Christianity by Rodney Stark. He's done a number of like religious stuff. It's a little bit thick, like at times. But there's once you get in the information, the chapters where it's actually talking about how things are growing, it's extremely interesting. So, all right, what's up, Mike? Mike, you up?
Yeah, you want some advice?
Yeah, hit me.
Okay, dear Live from the Path, we have a couple of daughters who have told us we must take off our shoes if we visit them, and our beautiful grandchildren. Although I'm not sure of their reasons for this, I do know for sure that we have never tracked any kind of dirt into their house when we visited. In fact, our shoes are always clean. I have very sensitive feet. I cannot even walk outside barefoot. On top of that, my feet get cold if they aren't covered. I've always worn house slippers at home if I didn't have shoes on. In a discussion with my wife, I suggested that their request was both inconsiderate and disrespectful. I also said that they should provide alternatives to shoes for visitors if they expect guests to remove their shoes. What is the proper etiquette in a situation like this? Cold feet.
I've been having some problems with my kids, so I had a long discussion with my wife. Very manly. Bring some slippers.
Yeah, bring slippers from home.
Yeah, that's what I was
There you
thinking.
go.
Bring slippers.
It's their home.
They should provide some alternative footwear.
I'm thinking of like the hospital booties.
Hi, we're outrageous. So we have a wide selection of slippers for you. Like, they'd have to believe they're outrageous to begin with, and obviously they don't believe they are. I think they're fine.
I want them to buy a pair of slippers for Dad for their house. Like that's his Christmas present is a pair of slippers for their house. That would be wonderful.
I don't think this man understands how to make his point. When he says, I have very sensitive feet, I cannot even walk outside barefoot. If he would have said, I cannot walk on pillows barefoot, that would be a good point of how sensitive your feet are.
Yeah.
If you can't walk out on thorns and thistles and bare feet, yeah, you're just an American dude. You know what I'm saying? This is not the Navajo. People just don't walk outside barefoot anymore.
I feel like that runs in the family though, because like my wife and my 2 children can walk out in barefoot and have no problem, and I'm like pansy toeing across the sidewalk. Like my feet cannot handle that. I don't know if I didn't have the right experiences growing up or whatever, but like I have dainty underfeet.
Yeah.
But my family, the rest of my family, can troll around all day without any problems without socks on. What are your thoughts, Bova? Are you laughing at me?
Dainty underfeet.
I do.
That's what I'm thinking.
I do.
No, I'm the same way. I have a lot more weight that presses down on the underfoot. But no, I'm the exact same way. If I try and walk outside barefoot, I'm crying.
But,
Yet I see my godson and goddaughter just walking around in gravel with no shoes on. I'm like, you cavemen, what is wrong with you?
But given our sensitivity, Bova, a couple of sensitive urban fellas.
Urban gentlemen.
Yeah, or a couple of, sensitive urban gentlemen. Have you ever gotten to someone's house and said, I can't really walk on this carpet, my feet are sensitive?
No.
Has this ever come up in your
I've
life?
never said to someone, I apologize for your rocky terrain that is your carpet. I don't think I'm going to be able to handle this. I'm going to go ahead and throw the kicks back on.
Is this Berber? Because I can't handle it.
I'm sorry. What is this? More concrete in here? Like, this is ridiculous.
I really can only get down with the Frisee.
I've had someone tell me that I had to take my shoes off when I came inside, and I stood outside and waited for my wife to be done with whatever. I mean, it takes a long time to take my boots on and off, and I
suppose
thought,
that's a valid point.
for any longer we're going to be here, I'll just hang out outside.
I normally just
Not gonna happen.
volunteer it. That way, it's like get it out of the way. Because if it is someone who wants me to take my shoes off, then it's not awkward at all, and I take my shoes off. Or if it's someone who does not want me to, and they go, "Oh no, you're fine," rather than me walking onto the carpet and they go, "How dare you walk onto this carpet on this hardwood with
You
your shoes on?"
Neanderthal.
You know, we were looking for daycares for my oldest daughter when we were going to put her in daycare, and we were looking at home daycares. And we walked into this house, and this lady's had like 4 or 5 kids. She said she was daycaring for, and we walk into the front door, and the first thing I see when I turn my head to the left is white carpet. I said, "We're out of here." This woman's an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't have a daycare and have like starched white carpet. And she had like a bunch of figurines and stuff on tables, and I thought, what is this? This is the worst plan ever. You know, I instantly lost respect for the lady. I'm like, you can't possibly believe that you're not going to take my kid and herd her into the kitchen all day if you have stark white carpet. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that won't work.
That doesn't make any sense. You're not qualified to be a daycare.
Seriously.
Hey, Boots do bring that. They do make that interesting though, because there is a level of effort to get boots on and off.
I don't take mine off.
Yeah.
I just stand outside. I mean, there's some place. If we're going to be there for more than half hour, I'll probably do it. Otherwise, I'll stand at the entry and just make small talk from there.
Actually, so I keep walking out in my backyard, which is laden with dog evidence, and so I keep having to wear my boots. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like I accomplish a lot more when I got boots on. Primarily because it's such a big decision to take them off that I end up doing more work before I take them off at night. So like, because I feel like if I take them off, I won't do anything. So like, I take out the garbage, I check the lawn, I go out and clean up my wife's car. I might even like do dishes and stuff because I got boots on. Because I feel like as soon as I take my boots off, I'm done with whatever else goes on in life. That's a real office guy way to do things. Like boots have that control over office
that
fellas.
doesn't sound obvious at all.
Yeah. It's working though.
We work in corporate America.
Yeah.
Boots mean something's going down.
There's work happening.
If Ben and Buva have boots on, something's going down.
If there's garbage to be taken out,
There is
I am your
work
man.
to be done.
I walked out of our bedroom 2 days ago with shorts on, and my kids were certain I was in my underpants. That is how rare it is to find me in anything but boots and jeans, right? And I walked out, and like my youngest daughter was like, why are you wearing your underpants? Dad's in his underpants. I'm like, they're not underpants. They're shorts. Those are underpants. I thought I've got to do something different at my house. Why does
Yeah.
everyone see me as uptight?
Mike, I've never seen you in shorts the entire time
That's
that I've
what
known
I'm saying.
you.
It
so-
looks like underpants.
He looks ridiculous.
I'm sure he does.
All right, Secular's advice is, a person does not have to track dirt into a house to carry germs on the soles of one's shoes.
Oh my! Are you serious? What?
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. The feet is the the
Receptacle
shoes
for germs.
as the germ carrier, as opposed to the entire rest of your body.
I'm sorry, is it your turn to give advice?
I'm sorry.
Carrying on. If guests have walked on a sidewalk or driveway where someone has walked a dog or spat, then I can see why a parent might want shoes removed if children play on the floor.
I'm outraged by this advice.
Good manners in a case like this would be to cheerfully cooperate with your host, and, if slippers are not provided, to bring a pair over that you can leave for the next time you visit. It is a small price to pay for spending time with your beautiful grandchildren.
That's ridiculous.
Wow.
Why wouldn't your general advice be, if you're concerned about spreading germs and stepping on spat everywhere, like, why wouldn't it always be, always take off your shoes? Not whether they want you to or not. It'd be like, it's common courtesy not to bring contagion into a house. Take off your shoes.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Hey,
If
we're
that's
cool.
the line of
We're cool with
thinking.
germs. Come on in.
I'm gonna set up a shelf right inside our door, and kind of like a bowling alley where you can rent shoes. I'm gonna like put in a quarter. You can rent slippers for the afternoon.
Yeah, you can make a big hairy deal out of it. Spray them out. You know what I would
That'd be
do?
terrible.
Just to spite them, I would bring a dirty pair of slippers over. And I mean, they'd just be filthy.
Sorry, Chuck, you can't come in. Dave's got the tins.
Yeah. What do you want me to do? Remove my skin? I'm down to bare stockings here.
Achoo! Anyway, the shoes are over there.
Here we go. Dear Live from the Path, we have a 27-year-old nephew who lives at home with his parents. He's a good guy, but he doesn't drive. He has no physical or mental impairments that we are aware of, and all of his numerous family members have offered to teach him. But his nonchalant attitude toward learning has made everyone give up. We live in a big city with poor public transportation, and his job is far from home. Catching the bus to work is unsafe and takes hours, and daily cab fare isn't cost-effective. We know his parents aren't happy transporting him back and forth, and we think they need to push him toward more independence. His social life is limited to family events, and dating is out of the question. We worry about what will happen as his parents are getting older, and none of us plan on assuming the responsibility of transporting him. Any suggestions? I got one. You keep your nose out of people's business.
That was my first thought, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. His parents are driving him around?
27-year-old nephew.
Yeah,
Look,
I'd-
if they want to live their life as fools, I mean, seriously, unless they're open to some kind of you talking into their life, let them drag their stupid kid around. That's foolish on their part.
Yeah.
You're not going to solve the world from your armchair.
Yeah, the issue is the parents.
Yeah, definitely.
They've trained the child who's 27 to be that way. I mean, wow.
Here's the deal. If I didn't have wife or kids, I'd live on that bus. I'd be on there all the time.
Oh man.
Pick me up, drop me off. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I spent some time in London, about 6 weeks in London. That was the only way I got around was buses. It was awesome. I love riding the bus. Free? It was. Yeah, didn't get, well, I mean, I suppose it
Bus
costs.
isn't free in the States, Ben.
Well, you can get a bus pass. Hey, for reasonably priced is what I'm saying.
They're cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should get that guy I met a bus pass.
They're as cheap as what a typical company would charge for parking. Like, downtown office.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how this conversation went with the child. Like, hey, can you give me a ride to work? No. I'm 27. Yeah, that's the deciding factor.
That's what I pondered.
Get on the bus. I have a job. I can buy my own bus ticket. Get out. Hey, I really need a ride. I don't like the bus. Listen, you don't live here anymore. 'Cause I think,
Did they say that they don't live there anymore?
No, he still lives there.
Okay.
But like, I just don't.
This is Mike
understand-
kicking the child out.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a real easy-going conversation. Hey, give me a ride to work. No, ride the bus. I don't want to ride the bus. Look, you're out of here. Like, it doesn't take either I've raised a complete fool or a lazy man.
Well-
and I'm going to put up with either one for
And I
right now.
suppose they're gonna say, well, it's I feel like it's dangerous to ride the bus system. All the more motivation to get your own wheels.
Yeah, why don't you be king of the superhero of the bus then? Why don't you defend the poor and innocent? You can be the sheriff of the bus if that's what makes you feel better. Show up there and right the wrongs. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, seriously. Our advice to the question person is, look, just
That's not your bad.
stay out of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gonna solve it from your place 3 blocks away or through the via the columnist?
How is that gonna
This
go?
is terrible.
Hey, we think your son should drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't
Thanks.
want to.
Thanks for that. Here we go. How do you know the parents aren't happy about transporting him? Have they said it? If so, the next time they vent, tell them you're concerned about their son and why. He may have additional problems that you are unaware of. He may simply be a late bloomer or have no incentive to be independent because his parents are happy with him snug in their nest.
27 is not a late bloomer.
Yeah, 27 means that,
That flower is not
that
going to
you-
bloom.
You put the snake on the ground and tried to light it with a lighter, and nothing happened.
I would
That's
say.
a
I mean,
dud.
it's worth understanding that there could be circumstances that you're not aware of, right? There could be other things going on in that kid's life. That's completely reasonable.
Absolutely.
If you're holding on to the thought that he just hasn't come around yet,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a little bit optimistic.
All the more reason you should keep your nose out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they seem like fairly reasonable people and they've made one outrageous decision based on this, there might be more than they're willing to share with you because you're a bit of a gossip. I would say
Yeah.
that's probably the case.
yeah. I would
It
agree with
says,
that.
however, if this is the elephant in the room that no one, including the parents, wants to acknowledge, keep mum, because if you don't, you will be resented for it.
If this is an elephant in your room, you really got to find something else to do with your time.
You
Yeah.
need a bigger room.
Yeah. Like get involved in some real problems with people's lives.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Dear Life from the Path. My 7-year-old granddaughter, Kelly, wanted a dollhouse for Christmas. I had a friend build a basic frame, shingled roof, chimney, and shutters. Then I decorated it. I did everything by hand. I wallpapered each room, made little
Uh-oh.
rugs, and crocheted lace curtains. They were even little window shades. Kelly's room was a perfect princess bedroom. It took 2 weeks, but I loved working on it. The family came for 5 days over the holidays. Kelly loved her dollhouse and played with it every day. When it came time to leave, my daughter told Kelly she couldn't take it with her. She had to leave it at Grandma's so she would have something to play with when she came to visit. Kelly was heartbroken, and so was I. Then my daughter told me, in private, the dollhouse was too amateurish, which was why she didn't want it in her home. I think about it all the time and don't know how to get past it. Any advice?
Ooh.
I mean, amateurish is that's a big word. Like it's unstable or looks terrible. I mean, you mean one of those two things, right? Like I'm afraid for the safety of my child, or I don't want it ruined in my home.
Yeah, she's embarrassed
yeah.
to have it at her house.
Let me ask you this, Mike. I'll open it up to the group. How many people can you think of where you're like, if this person, they came up to you and said, hey, I'm going to build you a giant dollhouse that I'm going to make at my place, and then I'm going to take it and you're going to put it in yours. Like, I might got one guy in my life that I'd be willing to entertain the possibility that this might turn out in a way that I will even want at my place. And even then, the size of it is I probably don't want it at my place, right? And so I'm just saying, it's a bit presumptuous to create some sort of gargantuan dollhouse and just assume you're going to ship it home with somebody. I don't care how good it is.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it probably takes you a solid year to year and a half as a parent to realize that anything that is as tall as the child, you don't really want. It's going to come over to your place. They're going to love it for like 2 days, maybe. And then it's just going to take up space on the wall.
Then
Like, it's just the deal.
Yep.
And so, like, every Christmas comes around, you're like, please don't get that child that big old thing. Please don't. And they're like, look what we got for you. It takes up a whole room. You're like,
Yeah.
man. Like, you don't want to be rude, but seriously, like, we're just going to have to find a way to get rid of this giant furniture that you've now, you made us look terrible if we say no.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there could be a little bit of that going on there.
But that's not what they said. They said it's
Well,
amateurish.
it could be, right?
Yeah.
You have the perspective of the guy that created it, that thinks it rocks, and put a lot of personal time into it. And then if someone who has to actually take it home,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, her description of it was, I put on the wallpaper and the curtains. If that's what's holding this thing up, you know, keep it in your place. You know, like she didn't give any evidence that it was super sturdy. The man didn't say like it's made out of 2x4s or 3/4 inch plywood or it's stout, which is what I would have said if I was trying to defend my work against someone saying something like that.
I mean, here's like they're just not the right person to provide the perspective to say it's beautiful.
Yeah, right. But I would have just said, hey, we don't have space for that, which would have been true.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been like an assault against grandma who, I don't know.
People are usually better at handling those circumstances than it looks a little amateurish, Grandma.
We'll
Right.
put
She
that in
might
our
have
house.
actually said that, but Grandma just remembered the line that really hurt her was the one that said it was amateurish.
That's likely, yeah.
She could have just been listing off reasons, and Grandma picked on the one.
That's true. So how does Grandma handle this? How do you help Grandma get past it?
Well, she's got to forgive. I mean, that's life. Suck it up.
I say, Grandma, if it's your desire that they be happy, just know that they're happy not taking that home. Can you be happy that they're happy with that?
We don't hit a home run every time up the plate.
Yeah, that's real. And she can still enjoy it when she's there. I mean, here's the deal. I can't think of barely one thing that my grandparents that got my kids where I'm like, hey, that gets to stay at Grandma's house. Like, I don't want that. Or it makes noise or it's giant. And I'm like, I don't want to fight about that thing later on. It should stay. And it's a good toy. And I'm sure you'll enjoy it at Grandma's house. Yeah. Grandma's going to have to get over it.
Okay, secular's advice is, you appear to be a loving grandparent. Sometimes people say things without weighing the effect it will have on the person they're talking to. What your daughter said may have been honest, but it was extremely insensitive in light of the time, effort, and love that went into that gift. Your daughter appears to be more fixated on appearances rather than what's really important in life. That's a stretch. You've really grabbed hold of this woman and pegged her as somebody. What is sad to me is that she may pass along her skewed sense of values to your granddaughter. Wow. Wow. I mean, you've really stereotyped this woman.
Yeah.
Bummer. Okay.
I would not write off the possibility that Grandma did not put together a sweet dollhouse.
Yeah. We don't.
All right, ready?
We don't know.
This is the last one. This one appears to be Jesus related. Ready? Dear Life from the Path, I joined a weekly prayer group with women from my church. As a young mom, I appreciate having the opportunity to get out of the house and socialize with the other adults, and all the women are nice. We use an online sign-up to schedule who will host each week. Trouble is, all the other members have much larger, nicer homes than mine. There's always a space for everyone to sit and a basement for all the kids to play in while we're occupied. I'd love to host, but I'm afraid having all those people in my house would be an embarrassment. No one has asked why I haven't hosted yet, but I'm getting worried about what to say if someone does. Should I just say I don't have the space? I feel it's rude of me not to take a turn. Tiny house.
Yeah, I think got a couple options here. My initial reaction would be, yeah, just host one. My house is not giant, and it's something that like actually my wife and I've had this conversation. Like there are people we know that have bigger houses. I'm like, we're not going to be spreading out. Like we're sitting in a confined space. So I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about people coming in and like, oh, look at how small their house is. Just find places for people to stick their butt, and I think you'll probably be fine. Or it's perfectly legitimate to be like, hey, I just don't know if I have enough room to seat everybody comfortably. Okay, that's generally acceptable too. Like if you feel like you just can't do it. But I would say that people that want to meet together will make do in an environment in which they can do so. Especially if you're not talking about it. I can't. Did you say there were kids and stuff there, or is it
Yeah,
just
kids.
Yeah, so that makes things a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I think you can work it out.
Yeah,
A little bit of honesty goes a long way here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if the ladies that you're talking about are really loving on Jesus and doing this thing for the right reasons, like they don't give two craps. You know what I'm saying? They're not like, well, so and so didn't take a turn, and she's off the list of whatever, blah blah blah. She brought slippers and you know what I'm saying? Like, no one cares about that stuff. Like you say, look, I'd prefer not to have it in my house. I just don't feel comfortable. Okay, sounds good. We'll have it somewhere else. We'll see you there.
Yeah.
you can be
No.
creative. Have it at a park.
Yeah, so far the only judgment is coming from her. She's putting
Yeah.
it on herself. Like she said, no one's come up to her and asked her, hey, do you want to host one? And no one's come up to her and said, hey, why aren't you hosting one? And no one's asked her about the small house. So I mean, she's the only one who's judging her own house. Doesn't matter. Shouldn't matter.
Ready? Secular says, not being able to accommodate a large group is nothing to be embarrassed about. It's a fact of life for many people. If you are asked about why you haven't hosted, tell the truth. Offer to host the gathering at the church or outside when the weather permits. If that doesn't work, volunteer to bring food to some of the events so you'll feel like you're contributing your share and no one will feel you are ducking a responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't
Solid.
think, in fact, I don't think there's a wrong way to handle that. Except for making a scene or, you know what I'm saying, getting way out of hand. But, any of those options are just fine.
I was going to say, Mike, that's a dangerous comment. I feel like there's a lot of different ways that it could be wrong in handling that. Screaming and physical fighting
Okay.
would be bad.
You want to do one more? I got one more if you want it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, there we go. Dear Life from the Path, I am 22 and will graduate from college soon. I've worked hard for the last 4 years and will graduate with 2 degrees. Recently, I decided to throw away all my makeup. I rarely wore it, and I think I'm beautiful without it. Now that I'm about to enter the job market, I'm worried society won't see me as looking professional without it. I have appropriate dress clothes, and I'm comfortable without the added fluff of makeup, but how will others see me? Is makeup a necessary part of the business attire? I want to go into job interviews with as much confidence as possible and do well in my career. Also, if I wear makeup to an interview, will it be necessary for me to wear it on a daily basis once I get a job? Please enlighten me.
Yeah, you do. Do what you're gonna do. Hey, here's the deal. We had this actually came up sometime at work. There was someone that came in to apply for a job, and they had a visible tattoo and some piercings. And we're kind of talking to people that had interviewed this person and said, maybe I wonder if they had considered, what should I wear to go in there? I'm like, they should just wear what they look like. Because there's no reason to surprise anybody. Like, this is who you are. And if this is going to work out, that's going to be awesome. If it's not going to work out, like if this is how you're going to dress or how you intend to, then you might as well show up to the interview looking like that. So, I would say, generally speaking, no, it shouldn't have an impact. I'm not saying it won't, though. People are like that. There's a lot of corporations, in fact, most, who won't let you wear jeans. There's something about you can't wear jeans. You got to wear the nice pants. Because what covers my legs has absolutely nothing to do with how my work is performed. However, it does produce an environment in which they want. So, you know, it's actually, this goes very much back to a conversation that we were having with about Mike and what he wears at work. Like, you just got to figure out where your line is, what you're willing to do. I would show up and wear whatever you want to wear, and if they got a problem with that and you're a good candidate, they'll probably tell you, and then you just got to decide whether that's all right with you or not.
I think the other thing that I'd throw in on top of that would be, thanks, Mike. If it's a confidence issue and she feels like she's going to be more confident in her interview if she wears makeup, wear makeup.
I think she said no, she didn't want to.
No, she said. I think she said something about having more confidence. She wants to have all the confidence she can.
I feel very confident wearing a zombie mask. Are you suggesting that's what I should do?
Yes, Mike.
Your advice.
Please,
Porous.
please show up with a zombie mask. No, she said I want to show up with as much confidence as possible, and I think she was debating if she should wear makeup or not. So I think I drew from that she might feel more confident with makeup on. And if that is true, then yeah, do it. If not, don't.
I misunderstood. I thought it sounded like she said she was like getting rid of all her makeup, but she was worried that if she goes and does a job interview without it, that they may not hire her. That's what I got from it. Is that all right?
That was correct. That's why I was doing that on top of that piece. She talked about the confidence also. That was okay.
We agree with you, Buva.
Apparently so. Yep.
I will make peace at all costs.
Did I make that up or is that in there? Like, now I'm wondering if I made this up.
Well, her confidence is in no makeup. She's more confident that way.
It says, and I quote, "I want to go into job interviews with as much confidence as possible and do well in my career. Also, if I wear makeup at an interview, will it be necessary for me to wear it on a daily basis when I get the job?"
Okay. Yeah. So I suppose that's open to implication. It implied to me that she wanted to have no makeup, but she was concerned that if she did, that she would have to wear it all the time.
Gotcha.
I changed my vote. You're wrong, Buva. No peace.
I agree. I agree with an errant Buva. Employers expect, Secular says, employers expect applicants to put their best foot forward during a job interview. But unless wearing makeup is part of the job description, I don't think it's a requirement. How others will view you depends on how well you perform the job for which you're hired. If you do it well, you will be respected. If you don't, no amount of makeup will put you in a better light. Being well-groomed does not necessarily mean wearing makeup. Yeah, that's right on. Yeah. I wish I hired people.
I wish I had a bumper sticker that said
Yeah,
that.
I like people that come in, I mean, just as they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would appreciate the tattoo and piercings man because he's not shining me on. You know what I'm saying? You come in here, pretend somebody that you ain't, pretend all your papers mean something, but the whole time you're betraying everything that you are when you walked in the door. If you can at least come in and say, look, I want to do a good job here. I want to make good money for my family. I don't look like everybody else. If that's going to be a deal, I'll shake your hand right now and we'll walk out and we'll just call it what it is. But if we can make that work, let's do this thing because I'm ready to make some cash. I'll hire that guy directly.
Hiring 102 by Mike Foost.
I got more advice. If you coming up in slacks, you turn right back around. You don't wear slacks in here.
Actually, that really does seem counter, right? Slacks, like the root of the word implies that you're not going to be doing as much work as you would otherwise and should be doing.
Yeah.
Hey, can I get the pants of which I don't do as much work? Yes, I'll take the slacks.
Yeah, here's the deal.
The slacking pants.
People who are in charge dress better. So if you come in dressing the same as me or better, I feel like you're gunning for my job. You're out. You show up less good looking than me, and then you can work your way up to me.
What if your boss is a slack?
Yeah, that's good times. You'll have that job in no time.
All right, you're listening live from the path. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. Big thanks to Bob Eisenhower with the Eisenhower team and Westfield Veterinary Hospital. Go to westfieldvethospital.com and theeisenhowerteam.com and give those guys a shout. Say thanks for sponsoring Live from the Path. Also indulge in their services if that is what you need. You can catch us online at livefromthepath.org. You got problems with the show or you like it? That sounds awesome. Give us an email, info@livefromthepath.org, and we'll catch you later. Thanks for listening to Live from the Path.